How'd you
Well,
get interested in wrestling?
well, my name is Axel, and I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. So a lot of people
Okay.
think, like because I don't have an accent when I speak English or whatever. It's mostly because I came here when I was like in first grade. So I firmly believe like when I hit puberty, I just lost my accent. But a lot of people tell me like if I go to Puerto Rico and I speak Spanish, they're like, oh, but when you speak English, you don't sound Hispanic at all. So, but I had a couple friends and family down there, and one of my uncle's friends actually did lucha libre down in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So he would do that on the weekends, and every time we'd pass by his house, his name was Kuka Man. Whatever that means nowadays. But he had he had a wall full of VHS tapes of like WCW, in the early '90s, like
Oh, nice.
WW, like all that type of stuff, like early WWF, WW, and we just would watch. And I remember he gave me a gift, which was WCW 1993 Halloween Havoc, where it was Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, or I think 97. Sorry, 97, I believe. But and then after that, I just became such a huge fan. Then of course I think we moved to Texas, moved from Texas to Louisiana, and then eventually made it to Illinois. Was a small child, so like when your mom says we're moving, you really don't have a choice between like warm, breezy weather into what is Chicago and Illinois, which I hate with a passion. Like going outside right now, it's like wet snow and all that crap, and it's like it's my most dreaded weather. How I feel, but so that's pretty much how I got to the Chicagoland area scene, and I've been here for about, give or take, about 18 years on and off between going back between home and Puerto Rico, home and here. But I didn't really join wrestling until after college. I was between eighth grade till I finished college. I was an improv person. I would do theater and improv in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did a lot of theaters like 773. Did a couple things with this company named PH where I would run like shows, sound, lights for them.
Oh.
And when they closed down because like just owning like you're like a private theater at a storefront, it was just a lot of money to rent and all that stuff. So when they shut down, I felt like my artistic outlet was like gone. You know what I mean? I felt like, oh no, I can't do what I enjoy. And one of the people that was also an improviser at that theater was a guy named Jack Moody. He does CSW. He's done a couple shows here and there around the Chicagoland scene. Um, I saw that he was doing, like wrestling, and I thought, huh, that's very interesting. I met a couple friends at like one of those like conventions, and he's like, "There's a school right by your house, Axel. Why are you not doing this?" Because I was always naturally like athletic, and I did like track and field and all that stuff in high school, and in between, like weekends and stuff, I would do tournaments. So I was always good running wise and always in good shape. So I thought, as a kid, it's like, oh, but those are like, superstars. They get picked like from a claw machine, right? And then he was like, just go, just buy some knee pads. I bought like volleyball knee pads, volleyball elbow pads and stuff. And then
Right, because you didn't know, right?
yeah, right. Like what like what do you like what do you do? Like, you know what I mean? Like I saw people, like I was big into lucha libre. It's like, where do you buy like, just stuff like that? Just,
Yeah.
at the corner store, like at Walgreens, you're not gonna buy like a custom made suit into mass combination just at like a Target. Um but yeah, then since 2017 till now, I've been doing wrestling. Little bit of not so much theater so much because a lot of theaters have been like closing down in the Chicagoland scene, which really really sucks. But it definitely helped me with adjusting to, talking on the microphone, having fun in the ring, messing with referees like Monsieur Producer down here.
That's me.
But yeah, it definitely was. It made the transition to wrestling a lot easier. And
I could see that improv making you feel more comfortable in front of people and having fun and just kind of on the fly stuff.
So yeah, so with that, like, do you find yourself more comfortable performing in front of the crowd, wrestling stuff, or doing promos backstage, which is not in front of a crowd? Do you find your improv background really helping you in the ring in front of the live audience, or with the acting side of things when you're doing like promos and stuff?
So I would always say this, that when one of my friends went to do like NWA or like extra work for one of the W's, whatever W, and they had him like memorize a script, that is my nightmare. Like, I was always bad with remembering scripts. I was really bad at like, being like, and gasp, you know what I mean? I'd be that guy that would read the gasp, and be like, oh, I'm sorry. So like, if it becomes more natural, where it's just kind of, just give me a subject and let me see the red light. And then I'll treat it more natural, and it's more like easier for me to just be on the fly, because it just, I don't know, it feels like if you only have one take, it's more natural. You know what I mean? Because I always find it more natural for people to like mess up, flub up on their words, or figure out and then find out. Kind of like, how Michael Scott always, said, it's just like, I like starting sentences and not knowing where they're going until we get there. Like, that doesn't make sense, but in all honesty, it makes so much sense if you know it from an improv background.
Yep, absolutely. Because that's one of the things that, like, I shoot a lot of the promos for, I do some for Northlands, I do some for JWA, and it's so true when you get a guy where you're like, hey, just do this. When you're giving them notes after take one or two, you almost have to like scrap the whole thing. Otherwise, they're fine tuning something that's already kind of not working, right? So you almost have to go like, all right, we're gonna come at this from a different angle and rebuild from there. So that's a really good point with that.
Yeah, I love it. That's why I have so much fun, and I, like messing with referees, or like using, inaudible cues when it looks like. I think one of my favorite things is looking like I'm saying something really mean or something, but I'm really just telling you like, hey, I'm distracting you. Hey, this is really fun. I'm having so much fun. Are you having fun? Oh my God. Like that's one of my favorite things, to like work the crowd. And especially at the last JWA, when we had, Mr. Inestra going against Lennox, and I was literally carrying a chair above my head, but all I was saying was like, David, I'm having so much fun. Are you having as much fun as I am? All this roar of people behind us being like, oh, put the chair down, you're cheating, it's just like, hey, how you doing? How's your Sunday? Have you been having a good day? And it's just that idea of it makes it more fun for everybody. And it still gets the point across. That's how like the ball's running and it's a lot of fun. And that's how I would always do it with my improv shows. And but definitely into like, I think most people in the wrestling business could do so well with like maybe a couple classes in improv, or just in general, like how to get thrown into the deep end and just kind of figure out like what's going on when you don't know what's going on.
Now, what did you go to college for? You said you went to college before wrestling. What did you actually go for?
I went to Dominican University, which is in a small little town in River Forest, Illinois. My mom was an adjunct teacher, so she got me a couple credits, and it helped me pay off college, because I was, I'm not made rich, so got to do what you got to do. But I got my undergraduate degree in rhetoric communications, and social media / business, or business and social media. Because I was a big fan of like the event coordinating and making things for like the student body to enjoy. Like, I would hire like magicians and concerts, and like host open mics at college. So you know, doing theater and all that stuff made it kind of all, you know, itself. Like I would do like a yearly big event where we would get like entertainment from like, you know, California to come do like poetry speaking, but also get some students to do some stuff or do improv or do comedy or, you know, music or whatever, and just make a big old show. So I was always a big fan of that. And then, you know, it kind of helped out with the wrestling business, you know, like how to get insurance for stuff, you know, how to get venues and all that stuff. So it was a very like it made, you know, my communication degree feel like I could use it for something else. Unlike, you know, a lot of my friends that went for like mathematics and all this other stuff, and they're just, you know, behind a desk all day, just banking.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of boring.
Well, and were you able to take that college experience and then like get an like a job with that degree, or how did that, or did you just kind of you know, some people go to college and then I always give the example, like I went to college for IT.
Okay.
But just because you know, my mom was always like, you need something to fall back on in case I always was like 100% I'm going to wrestling school.
Yeah.
And she's like, you might need something to fall back on. So I went to college for IT, but then I ended up in a marketing role.
Oh, okay.
You know, I did IT for like maybe 5 years and then migrated over to marketing and got really into marketing and social media and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of helped me not only professional career, but also with a lot of that stuff translated into wrestling.
Yeah. I definitely got a lot out of my social media business degree, because especially when the wrestling part hit, because I, you know, using like when, you know, knowing the times of when to post, what to post, how to edit things, how to put it out there, you know, streaming, sharing, and like, you know, overall content management definitely helped out and saw it, you know, and made it easier to like possibly make a business out of it, was definitely hand in hand in the degree. But you know, after college, like my main job, because obviously, you know, wrestling doesn't pay everything, you know, in the early stages, but I did go into kind of event coordinating based off like my jobs in college, and I actually became an activity director for a couple senior living buildings.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
So I've been doing that. I'm right now a director in Chicago for one of the buildings. I like hire like, you know, Elvis impersonators, you know, like, you know, people to come do like wine and painting, you know what I mean? I've done a couple calling for bingo games, which gets rabid, like zombie apocalypse over, you know, making sure the B7 is on the top square. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts, and all those rumors of crazy old people with bingo is 100% a fact. But yeah, it's been I definitely think because of my degree and all that and everything that I learned from college, and definitely helped with my job, and it's kept me stable. But it's very much like now I've gotten so comfortable with it, and I have enough experience that if I did want to push for wrestling to be more seriously, I could. But like in case, exactly what you said, I do have a fallback, you know.
And what's cool that you have all that experience that you know, nowadays that can even translate into working behind the scenes for a wrestling promotion or something like that too. So that's you know, everything you're saying, that's a lot of great skills to have, you know.
Yeah, you never know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta put yourself out there and be different than the next guys, because you gotta look at it as if I have a friend named Ricky Cruz, who is he's been a very like a mentor to me in the wrestling community, and he like would tell me, it's just like you gotta plan out as if 1,000 people are putting out a job application to what you're going to do, because it really is like that. You can go into this building, but you don't know. and you really have to try and be like different, because a lot of people will have the big three, like I work hard, I'm reliable, and I will do the job right. You know what I mean? Like you got to find to make those 3 words your own and unique. So I always always keep that in my head. So it's good to have multiple options, different branches of sort to throw yourself out there.
Now, one of the things that makes you stand out definitely is the hair. Now, did you always have this hair, or is this something you grew out into your character?
So the hair is rather new, because I don't know if you guys have ever been Hispanic, but the family love short-haired, perfectly slicked, like my uncles, my dad, my grandfathers, everything was always short hair, put a little grease, put it to one side. And if I would grow out, maybe like 2 inches or anything like that, my grandma would be like, all right, we're going to the haircut. Or, she would literally buy me like Pokemon games or like something just to force me to get a haircut. So all throughout my life until COVID happened, I always had short hair.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So this I have not cut it since 2020. So this is completely new, and it has really I think has helped me, because it's gotten me out of that comfort zone of like, just remember what they said, but like I think it's new to me. I've been using it, to be a piece of shit, to be, using it to help for matches, setups, and all that stuff. And so I've, I like look back and I just want to grab my grandma and just be like, why'd you do this? Like I could have been this, like.
So I feel like you should be doing like getting some hair product deals and like everything I've seen, like all these places you're wrestling at, they take like tremendous photos.
Yeah.
And they capture you in these angles where like your hair's just like shining. You got some soul glow spritzed in there.
Yes. It's a lost forest in there pretty much. Yes. And every single time you take a photo, like even if you like hold the shutter, like from 1 to 1, it'll be a completely different do. You know what I mean? But I remember when I came out once for one of my Wisconsin shows, I always tell like the person that intros me, like, I'm Axel Rico, this, that, but like for the other stuff, I trust you, go crazy. You know what I mean? Because it's like improv, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tell a guy who's been here and doing his job for the crowd that he's been announcing for, like, I'm not going to tell him what he needs to do, right? Like, like if you know how to work the crowd, like, this is what I'm going to do, da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, I told him to do the line of like that I know Victoria's Secret. And he's like, and he has the best hair in the Midwest. And he says, Axel Rico. And like, it's like, all right, I like that. I can dig that. So I'll steal that just in case an announcer has no idea what he's, going to say to me or anything like that. And the hair's been crazy, and it's still there, and I'm probably not going to cut it off unless I go to Mexico and they tell me to do like a mask versus hair match, and they'll give me $4,000 for it,
So I'm the kind of person, I change my look all the time, whether it's a different beard, I do different hairs and things like that. When I'm
for different purposes.
For different purposes. Not that I'm hiding anything. No. Well, I would just remember that I was here from 8:30 to 12. Anyways, but when I'm in a relationship, if I do something like I grow out a goatee, for example, my significant other will have either a strong attachment to it that it's like you can't get rid of it, or is waiting with clippers and behind the door for me to get rid of it. how was the hair situation in the relationship?
No, this is so since the big hair, mustache, facial, which by the way, like when I was 13, I had like the thickest mustache, but I couldn't grow shit like anything else.
Yeah.
So like I would that would be like the whole like Brad Pitt situation where I'd shave it off in the morning and at nighttime I'm already like, Pedro from like Napoleon Dynamite. But this is my first relationship where, like I met her pretty much looking like this, and she was like, "Yeah, you're still hot to me." So like every other relationship has been like, the mustache is a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
like I care for you. Like if you have to extend the letters, I get it. You want me to live a different life, But this is my first relationship where she has been like, no, don't change. Like, grow more.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
So it's like a complete opposite of like my mom and my grandma and all of my Puerto Rican family, who have been like, Axel, you look like shit. Like, like constantly. Like every time I call my grandma, the first thing she tells me, no matter what, is always like, how come you never call me? Even though like I call her on a weekly basis, she wants me to call her every single day. And she'll be like, your uncle showed me a picture and you look like shit, but all in Spanish. All in Spanish.
I mean, I think it gives you some uniqueness, definitely, It shows off your personality. I mean, the first time you came around to one of our shows, I was like, I think I said to Dave, I'm like, who's that guy? And he's like, who? And I'm like, the one with the hair. I'm like, who's that? Who's the guy with the hair? That's great.
Yeah.
Like, looks awesome. And then you got in the ring and worked, and then I was like, holy crap.
As Hannah Montana once said, I'm the best of both worlds,
Yeah, I mean, you could, maybe replace that girl that does Gabby's Dollhouse on Netflix. She's got all the long, shiny hair too.
Right. I mean, Netflix, if you're hearing this, right? This is live, right? This is
Yeah.
This is currently reaching millions of people, right?
Yep.
Axel's Dollhouse.
Axel's
if you're listening.
Please, Netflix. I'll do it. I'll do it. If Mr. Flix is listening to this, I will definitely get on that immediately.
Dear Sir and Madam Flix.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your training. So you started training. Did you do all your training at CSW, or where did you train?
That's where I started.
Okay.
That's where I learned the basic trade, the lockups, the bumping, and all that stuff. But once like 2019 hit, the legendary Steve Boz, he's the Lord and Savior Steve Boz, split our like class to two lucha promotions in the Chicagoland area. So half of us went to LLT or Lucha Libre Total, and then half of us, including myself and three other people, went to Galley Lucha Libre.
Okay.
And, from there, I learned from people like Gringo Loco and some of the luchadors that were training at Galley. And then once COVID hit, like there were no shows, but like every single week there was a lot of training. Like I think during COVID, I like trained 4 days out of the week because, just the boredom of home, needing to go do something and wanting to, still express myself and not, I hate, just sitting and not doing anything. That's one of my like pet peeves, or, and when like shows started coming up, again in Chicagoland, I ended up training with a lot of cool people. Mustafa Ali came to a couple of our training sessions in Galley and at CSW. I started training and wrestled a guy named Super Crazy, which was super dope. No pun intended. met that mentor that I was talking to you before, and from Puerto Rico, Ricky Cruz, because he started doing galley a lot, and just working the different styles. Ricky Marvin, who did a lot of stuff with Wrestling Noah during the early 2000s. And overall, like during that time, especially during COVID, I think that's when I really grew as a wrestler, just learning the different styles and not just going in everything CSW, but actually like taking what I liked from CSW and taking what I liked from Super Crazy, taking what I like and listening to different people and different trainers and stuff. And I found that very interesting. Like, I was never book smart, you know what I mean? I learned more from the people that experienced and did the things that I enjoyed or, you know, could help me. And it was a lot of fun during those times. Obviously, like, it sucked, you know, to live through, but like it was fun to like expand my knowledge of you know, better communication with people, better communication with wrestlers, and overall just like a broader way to look at just wrestling in general and how to become more of an entertainer and an athlete at the same time.
Yeah, it's great to get all that different experience with all the different styles and stuff like that too. That's super huge. Then you kind of adapt your own character and you know, take bits and pieces of what you like, you know. Yeah, one thing, so I've only been to one CSW show.
Whoa.
But you know,
I was shocked too.
I'm a little farther away, you know. But no, I came down and checked out a show, and I remember you were in the main event. And one thing that impressed me was how you had the crowd just like in the palm of your hand. Like, I mean, they were going crazy. Like, they wanted you to win so bad. And then when you didn't, how emotionally upset they were.
Yeah.
That you didn't win. Like, I even wanted you to win. I was like, that's not fair. And I'm like, that's not fair. Who's booking this right now? Yeah. but like, I was upset. You know, I'm like, oh. But it was just something. It was like an experience to see. Like, you could feel it in the room, you know. Mm-hmm. And is it always like that for you, or is it just that storyline or buildup was just so crazy?
I think it was a mixture of both, because obviously, like, you know, I've been trying to sprinkle, you know, a little Axel Rico everywhere, show that, you know, go to different shows and this, that, and the other. But I think CSW is like the one place where I've been able to do kind of like a full circle. You know, when I first debuted, I was like a really piece of garbage, you know, kind of like a person that, you know, at JWA, you know, kind of like the Axel Rico right now, where nobody likes him and he does like, you know, silly things, tries to win in cheap ways. But I think the reason why it was so good was obviously I give props in every time, because we wouldn't have been able to put that story together if it weren't for myself and Joey Avalon. Because that guy is one of the best wrestlers in general that I've ever met. But working with him made us, you know, first off, the whole crowd seeing everything, you know what I mean? Seeing me from evil to turning good to eventually becoming the guy that they want to win, because I firmly believe like they just followed my trail of success, if that makes sense. Like the casual fans, the CSW faithful were there. You know, they saw me become a bad guy, they saw me become a good guy, and then the second it's like, wait, I feel like I've known this man all my life. You know what I mean? That's why I think the room was so infectious. And of course, with working with such a good wrestler like Joey and myself, you know, knowing how to work the crowd, of course, going back to being able to work the people through improv, through, you know, not just the moves, but emotionally connecting with the crowd. It was, I look back at that moment, especially that match. I think that was our best that we've ever done. Like, of course, when I won it, you know, it was great to finally win the championship. But I do look back at that match specifically, back in, man, it's kind of crazy to think that that was almost like 4 or 5 months ago from
Yeah.
today speaking, which is nuts.
Like you literally had grown men in tears
Yeah.
and not a Kleenex in the building.
No, and the amount of people roaring when Steve Arndt turned it around, including yourself, to the point where we are still talking about this like months after.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. But it really shows, like, all you have to do is just connect with the people, because like we didn't really do anything too crazy, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think the fact that we really just worked, and it was more of a fight, which is what I've been kind of proving at Chicago Style Wrestling, that like I just want to fight. You know what I mean? Just like being that guy that just, because like everybody's sitting down there for a reason to get it. You know, I trust the rest of CSW, like the Joey Mayberries, the Mateo Valentines, and the whole show to like entertain and get all the parts that I'm not going to fill in. I saw what CSW needed, and I gave that out, and look at that, it made me a champion. You know, so I think looking at the show that it is, and with the people at Chicago Style Wrestling, it just, mwah, you know what I mean? Like, I find it very entertaining, and now, especially now we got like IWTV, I'm so happy that, you know, can show everything. And like, now that I've been helping train some of the people at Chicago Style Wrestling, it's really fun to see everybody show what they've got and really put a good show together. And of course, the fact that I got the pristine prize, which is over here on my mantle, you know what I mean? It makes me very proud of everything that I've done and made it all worth it.
Yeah, one of the things really too, though, that we can't discount in all this is we see a lot where guys, you know, have this rocket ship on, you know, they get a title, you know, they've gone through all these cool things to get to the title. You get the pop, you get the confetti, you get the thing. And then the next show, they're facing somebody that they, you know, some random mid-carder guy or whatever, for kind of like we need to establish some wins. But they didn't do that with you, right? They brought in Jacob Fatu, who was quite the opposite of just some schlub. And how was pivoting from this emotional storyline into cementing your legacy early on and putting your feet to the ground? How was that transition for you?
Well, I remember after I wrestled Joey, you know, after all the fans, you know, like came up to me afterwards, once the show was kind of done, you know, everybody was tearing down the ring. I remember, you know, the CSW booker, I'm not going to say names, came up to me and was just like, what do you want to do next? And you know, I was talking to Marche during the after party and all this other stuff, and he told me, which is exactly what I told the booker. He's like, "Well, kid, your job just started. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't. That, you know, you paved the way, you did all the applications, you did everything to get the job. Guess what? Now the hard part has officially started, and you got the job." So that's what I told the CSW booker. And I was like, you know, don't make this easy for me. Like I said, you know, I've been doing all these very emotional promos for the fans that make them show that, like, I want to fight, I want to, you know, kick butt, and I don't want, like, I told him, I was like, I'm going to cut a lot of promos, and I'm pretty much going to end them all with, like, I don't care if I win or lose. If that person beats me, good, but I want a fight. Nobody's going to get off easy. Nobody's going to have like a 2-minute, like, I think with every single Joey match, we went at least 25 minutes, you know, so that's kind of like what I strived to do with my CSW run, to prove that, like, I can go and I can take the best. I gave him a whole bunch of names, and he replied with Jacob Fatu, or at least I found out it was Jacob Fatu. And I was like, shit, all right, let's do it, you know.
Yeah.
And let me tell you guys, that was a lot of fun in the ass kicking way. Like, he kicked my ass, I kicked his ass, and overall I was very happy with it, to the point where I went through the curtain and was just like, fuck yeah, like.
Oh, that's cool. So how did the whole Top Latinos name come about? Tell me about that.
I don't really know, because when I know this is going to go into the history books of the training school and all that stuff, but when a lot of the PPW refugees, is what I call them, came to CSW, that was my first time meeting, Greg Murray, Inestra, Eddie the Bruiser, you know what I mean? So like, it was my first time, getting introduced to so many people that knew so much, but like had never had never really stepped out of the confines that was PPW and all that. So, first couple CSW shows, I see, oh man, Victor, he went to OVW. Just like I met him on a Tuesday, and on Thursday he went to OVW. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I started talking to him, and he told me that AAW reached out to him, and I was like, I'm at AAW. What? Well, cool. Why don't we become friends? And then on the reverse, that like he told me like, why don't you do this JWA thing? And then on that, like, did one show, and then all of a sudden AEW both reach out. It's like, hey, come to Florida. And it's like, well, shit, dude, maybe we should like tag or something, like.
Yeah.
Both kind of were like, we're weirdly, getting connected. And, like most during that time, because I've gotten a lot of gear with the Puerto Rican flag. He's got a couple gears with like the Mexican, flag on it, or like the bird eating the, attacking the. So I was like, damn, we're Latinos, fuck. It's kind of and we were both, especially
you bounced around Latino AF.
Yeah, Latino AF. Fucking Latino, like. But then, when we did our first kind of like promo, I think it was with Dave. I want to say we were kind of like being cocky a-holes, and I was like, I think because we did one cut, and I was like, Vic, we should call ourselves the Top Latinos, and because like he was like, okay. And then in that case, I was like telling him like in that case we might be able to add more, we might be able to take away, And then on that same like show, I remember, or the show afterwards, like we finally established we're the Top Latinos, blah blah blah. And then I thought it was really funny. And then the next show, we introduce, we say hello to you guys. And then you give us the Preacher of Pain, which is the whitest guy I've ever met. Like we go for 1 month. You know what? We're gonna be so Latino. We're gonna try to come out better than Eddie Guerrero on like a lowrider. And then all of a sudden, here is the baldest white man you've ever seen in your life, and he is going to be the manager of the Top Latinos. I'm like, okay, we gotta adjust some things. But I know I'm liking what we're doing here, like.
You shouldn't have adjusted. You should have just leaned into it. Into it.
Yeah. You know what? He is 2% Latino. Like.
Right. He did a 23andMe, and we found
we
out.
did the 23andMe. He's good. He's good.
He also lost his accent at some point. No, I think that's great. I always like to hear those stories of how those names came about. And a lot of those guys too, I like to call them refugee all-stars, but
yes,
they're all great. But I like definitely like the Top Latinos name. That's definitely you got something going there. That's great.
Yes.
With a new edition, right? Wasn't there a new edition?
We added the poncho.
Yes.
And rumors of a fifth edition, if you.
What are we? Right. We're turning to Harry Potter of Latinos.
I'm just saying, you have a lot of Latinos, but you may not have any Latinas.
Whoa! People can't know this. Hey! Buying this?
Whoa! Sorry, Meltzer. Sorry.
But no, you got a lot of flexibility there with that gimmick. I think it's really cool. Um, I can't wait to see where that all goes. And it's cool. Like, do you do the same? Like, I feel like you don't. The different promotions. It's kind of cool because you get to do something different at each one.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be used a little different here than
Yes.
where you're in Chicago or on some of these other shows. And it's kind of nice. That you must really like that though with like your improv. You get to do different things. It's not always just the same character or gimmick each time.
Absolutely. I sometimes I would do like triple shots or all that stuff, during the weekend. And I've had the opportunity to literally just be like, I could put together the same match. You know what I mean? I could do it A, B, C, D on Friday and just copy paste it Saturday and Sunday. But I purposely try to make every single match that I do, especially if it's at the same promotion or if it's just, if it's Wisconsin, Chicago, and then Indiana, I try to make it like I want to imagine it as if like I'm across countries, like stand-up comedian. You know what I mean? Like maybe someone followed me and like I got to think of, maybe put B where, the letter D is and, switch up the beginning, switch up the end. And, that's what I purposely try to do. Like I try to reach out, and once the promotion, sees what I am and sees how they fit, I try to make myself different. You know what I mean? Like at JWA, I don't want to be the same person that I am at CSW. I don't want to be the same person that I am at Galley, and especially at AAW, like all these specific places where now like the social media content, I'm looking for promotions that have really good social media content or like
Yeah.
great production, because really like I know I can wrestle, you know what I mean? But it's really just at this point of my career, I want as many or different eyes. Like that's why I try to go to multiple promotions, because like I want different eyes on me, but I really want to go to places that have really good social media or good looking social media so that I look gorgeous, So
I wish I knew somebody that did social media stuff. Anyways,
I mean, that's good too, because that gets you out there on, everybody's got their own YouTube channels and like their subscribers. So you're getting in front of different people. Everything online now, especially with the streaming online, and all the other avenues, just getting in front of the world. Have you had anyone reach out to you yet from like other countries, as far as like fans, or that have seen you online, or want like an autograph or something like that?
Well, there was I'll tell a good story and a bad story. Is that okay? I'll do.
That works.
Do you want
Please do.
the bad one or the good one first?
Let's go bad first.
Ooh,
happy endings. Happy endings. So
yeah.
So I think I did. You guys know Wrestling with Unicorns?
Yeah.
The guys that just clip videos of great promotions all around the U.S. now, and hopefully they can reach out and go to other places, because I think they've earned it with their quality and all that stuff. But they have like TikTok, Instagram, and with thousands and thousands of followers. So I think they clipped me for one of these videos where I did kind of more of a lucha, like they tagged it with like lucha. So like I think it got a lot of eyes for someone in like South America or something. So I got somebody to follow me and immediately send me a message saying like, "Oh my God, like great stuff, da 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 da. Who are you?" And it's like, "Hi, well, you followed me, so you can find." I didn't want to say that, but I was,
yeah.
Hi, how's it going? And then like, not even a day after, he sends me a message. It's like, "Oh, do you sell used underwear?" Like, and like, well, I'll look at my merch table. I don't think I have anything. It's like I could sell you a shirt, an 8x10. I can get you like a stuffed Axel Rico thing if you pay the right amount of money. He's like, oh yeah, I guess that's nice, but like the one you're wearing right now, like if you just take off that underwear and send it to me, that would be great, and I'll pay you XXX. And I was like, like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that I thought about it, of course, but also I don't want to be that guy or have that person, just like, oh, Axel Rico sold me this, and oh yeah, it's him. You know what I mean? Like something weird.
No, just let us know who. We'll hook him up with a pair of JWAs. Let's do this.
I don't want to leave my backpack or anything unzipped around the JWA locker. And then like right after that, he like went from, like sell me your sweaty underwear and all that stuff. She's like, do you do any live stuff? And that's when I immediately muted him. I was like, all right, this is enough, dude. Like, very happy that you're interested in me, but like this is going a little too far.
Yeah, they call that a super fan.
Yeah. Something like that. And then the good story, when I was really kicking butt, when I was first doing AAW, when I did my first thing at AEW, I got reached out by this guy named Johners, Wrestling with Johners in England.
Nice.
And we did like a podcast thing, and he was saying, if you're ever in Europe or in England and all that stuff, we'll definitely, I have connections to this promotion. So it was very cool. And I've, always watched his little podcasts where he'll like just interview just like indies. And he had no reason to interview a guy in Chicago. You know what I mean? He had like no business with it. The fact that he reached out to me and said, I'd want to do like an episode with you, talk about this, talk about that. I think I was about to win the Discovery Championship at Galley. Like it was like he didn't have to, and it felt really cool that someone overseas was still seeing stuff of mine, and it was really cool. So between that and some people in South America seeing me being like, "Hey guys, underwear anybody?" But yeah, so those are my weird things with, but it would be very, very cool to bring it to, a different country if that. And I think because of the big show that I just did with Big Lucha, I think Axel Rico might be going to Mexico pretty soon for wrestling, which will be really dope.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and what's really cool is you talk about, like where these shows are going, and you've mentioned a lot of different promotions that you've worked for. Well, we just did a whole podcast, the last episode, on booking a show, and that experience, and we went through all of our, histories with those. Tell us more about the show that you booked.
Oh yeah, that was insanity. So I don't know if you know all the details, but we ran one of those, cosplay conventions for like an anime show. One of my friends, her name is Ren. She's awesome. She was an event coordinator for this company that helps book those like, those giant conventions. And this one Colossal Con North took place in the Kalahari Water Park. And
that was in the Dells?
Yeah, right there in Dells. It was so cool.
And
she reached out to me because we've always been friends. We like used to like, she would dress up as Miss Martian and I would dress up as Superboy, and we'd like go to conventions, and then she like kept at it and wanted to be very adamant in that world. And just like me, like we became best friends because she loved creating events for other people to attend. And that was always like a fun passion. So I saw that. And so when she became kind of like a, just a little event coordinator, they needed a main event. And I was like, well, I know a lot of people that love wrestling, love dressing up in tights and really weird outfits. And we could get a ring in Wisconsin like that. And bing, bang, boom. They were like, absolutely. Here's the money for insurance. And we put on a hell of a show. and we had close to, I think, probably like the biggest turnout to a show that I've ever like been in. It was close to like 400 people came into this hall to sit, stand, and watch us. Like, you know, I was a character from Naruto. We had Joey Mayberry that was Ursula from Disney. We had Shelley Benson and Mario Pardua that were Barbie and Ken. And they wrestled the AZZ guys that were dressed up as Wario and Waluigi, just screaming,
nice.
or like wah or something like that. Overall, it was a lot of fun. And we've been reached out to by a couple other conventions. We even got my friend Ren said that the Shrek, there's this thing called Shrek Fest.
Yeah.
Heard of it in Wisconsin. And they reached out for us to maybe do a reincarnation of Shrek's wrestling scene during the first movie. And I thought that was hilarious. And I was, you know, if it happens in, I think it's like June or July, I was like, sign me up. Like, I'll get it done. I don't care how much money I want this to happen. I want this off my bucket list of things that I've done.
Dude, that's awesome. Those conventions are crazy. I've been to some conventions like your Comic Cons and stuff like that. But I also went to not too far from Janesville. They had a huge, like a 3-day like Harry Potter festival.
Ooh, cool.
And they actually had actual teams coming in to play Quidditch. like I'm saying, like they had jerseys and shit, you know, like it was crazy, but like huge amounts of people come out for that stuff. And so that's cool that you could like adapt wrestling to what they like, you know.
It was one of those crowds that you could tell that they were there to see what it was, because a lot of people there were actually like 3 or 4 like people that were dressed up as like wrestlers. Like I think there was a person that dressed up as Orange Cassidy, you know, but the rest of the majority of that audience were brand new. Like I would throw like the workest of work punches, you know what I mean? That wouldn't touch somebody. And you would just see like people going like, you know, like, if like they're the mother of the person getting hit. And it was so fun. And we kept like, you know, like, of course, you know, with conventions like that, there's multiple things going on at the same time. So we like lost a couple of people, but like at the end of the show, we had like just hundreds of people coming up with cameras, just taking pictures of our group.
Mm-hmm.
And like, please come back next year. Where can we see you next? So it was really cool to find that crowd, because you know, like all these guys are all these people are very passionate. Like they pay $100 and something to meet voice actors, meet actors, you know, from their favorite shows and all that stuff. And to be able to mix something that I'm passionate about to people that are obviously, you know, want to dress up, want to be nerds and all that stuff. It's so cool. It's super cool.
Yeah. And you like Comic Cons and stuff like that, you see a lot of wrestlers that they'll have booths at, you know, and things. So there's definitely some crossover there. That's pretty cool. That's really pretty awesome.
I definitely recommend if there's another Wisconsin one for you guys to join the production team, because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
The guy who we used the ring for, he had so much fun. He didn't do anything, but it was like in the Kalahari. So every like 10 minutes or so, every other match, I'd see him with a different tropical drink. Like somebody dressed as Batman and being like, yeah, you know, like,
yeah.
It was just overall loads of fun just to do stupid things and dress up even more ridiculous than usual.
Oh, that's great. So now that you're you know, in Chicago, you're the champ and all this stuff now down there. Do you ever get weird people coming up to you when you're just out in public that kind of recognize you?
So I think the funniest part the funniest moment was I was at a work dinner. Like it was all of the managers at my work. We went to like a restaurant in somewhere Chicago. You know, it's like one of those small districts that is its own name. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're on Foster and Broadway. That's McCormick. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't. I was like, okay, I'll just go. Free dinner. And as I was walking up in there, there was this whole table of like people who I've never seen, and they were like, oh, like I got in like a dress shirt, dress pants.
Yeah.
Of my work name tag, so it says my real name. Like, oh my god, it's Axel Rico, and I like felt like a TMZ moment, like immediately, like, oh my god, he eats steaks, you know, like, oh my god, he has potato, you know, like, and I was like, hi. I was like, you know, like, I didn't know how to react because that was like the first time it was ever like not at a show.
You should have just went up and signed some random shit.
Or them out, you know, like what should where they saw me from, or like, you know what I mean? Like it was just random people who have maybe been in the crowd when I do a show.
Yeah.
Like, do I say hello or do I flip them off? Do I, you know, like I had no idea. It took me very much off guard. And they're like, when are you doing your next show? I'm like, and then that's when like my boss was next to me and she's like, what are they talking about? It's like, oh, this is where I have to break the news that on the weekends and sometimes, you know, where I have to call off, you know, whatever, is because I do professional wrestling. And then
oh, they had no idea.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because we were like waiting to get a place to sit at this dinner, this like steakhouse place. And like the table next to like the please wait here to get seated was like this table full of like, you know, late 20-ish, like, you know, 30-ish, you know, just 6 people that all knew who I was and was making like a big deal. They're like, oh man, you're so cool. You know, like, I can't believe it.
Oh, that's great.
Never, like a short dude drop kick someone so tall, like verbatim. Like that's what this guy said. And my boss is over here being like, what are they talking about? And that, you know, like it felt like one of those like embarrassing conversations that you're like sitting with your mom and your significant other and they're telling stories of like, you know, of like your past and when you were a child and stuff.
You're like, sorry boss, I sent that guy my underwear.
Yeah. Long story short, probably either got it in a signage in like a postage thing or he's putting it over his head, you know what I mean? And I also drop kick people for a living, you know, like
I'll tell you, man, you got to embrace those times. I always, anybody that comes up to me, I'm always very nice. And, you know, I'll talk with them and sign, you know, if they want me to sign something, that's cool. But I always get, I either get like the really cool, like one time I went to a baseball game and some kids recognized me. They're sitting with their family and, I'm just at this baseball game and I'm autographing some stuff. Or, you know, they brought something for me to sign and, you know, I was happy to do it, but that's, I mean, that's awesome, dude. Like you know, that's an experience, you know? And, but then other times you get really creepy people that awkwardly approach you and, you just want to get out of there, be as nice as possible. And then bolt.
Especially I find those ones I've so far in my like, you know, out and about, like, or after a show type thing, I'll see like the nice ones, but during the show when like I get the awkward ones, like especially when I'm making my way to like my booth or whatever to sell things, that's when I get the guys just like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, the way, you know, like like they're ready to have like a 20-minute conversation and I am on my way to something, or it's like I have 15 minutes to work, you know, and then maybe have to go back or whatever. And it's, you know what I mean? But they're people, they're our fans, you know what I mean? So it's like we gotta find that medium to keep them, you know, like, you know, so that we're cool, man. But like also like let me do my shit, you know what I mean? That working man's medium, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I used to actually almost every job that I've worked at, you know, I've always mentioned the wrestling, and that's almost it helped me get into those, you know, almost get the job. You know what I mean? And like like I remember working in healthcare and the whole department coming to one of my shows.
Oh,
You know, like making signs and T-shirts and stuff like that. And you know, I guess I never really didn't tell anybody about it, you know.
That's just a really different experience than what I have, because you guys as wrestlers, they want to see you wrestle. When I tell my coworkers, they're like, cool, when are you going to get hit? That's what everybody immediately goes to. It's, Dave, when are you going to get hit with something? We'll come to that show.
Do you bleed? Like, do you bleed? Like,
can I hit you with a chair? Can I do that? Like, that's the number one question I get every time I tell people that I'm a referee. It's like, no, don't.
Oh, come on, man.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. I've never they always ask me like, "Oh, you know, anytime I was hurt or something, they're like, "Oh, was that from wrestling?" And I'm like, "No, I've never really been hurt wrestling. It's just dumb stuff at home."
Or, you know, like stub my toe, moving along,
yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
They want it to be like, oh, I fell through 70 tables, you know, I was little.
Yeah.
And all you get is like, no, I was stung by a bee and I'm allergic, you know, like
twisted my ankle in the yard. Sorry.
I walked the dog and did an overhaul, you know, and I twisted my ankle. Man.
Well, that's awesome. So what's next? How's your 2023 looking?
Well, 2023 has been an insane January. You know, like my first match was against AAA's superstar Ades, who is very big in Mexico, one of the coolest dudes I know. And we wrestled for Galley's World Championship. The next weekend, I had Mr. Fatu, no big deal, MLW star, family of the infamous, you know, Simone Heritage. And then this weekend I wrestled against Bandito and a whole lot of infamous wrestlers from Mexico, Rey Juris, Flamita, Emperador Negro, like a whole bunch of talent. And that's just January. And so it's been crazy. I already have pretty much my calendar, especially because of JWA, CSW, and a lot of other things. Like, I can tell promoters no all the way up till like November, October. So it's kind of cool. It feels, you know, like, you know, now I live off my calendar, you know, like when my girlfriend says like, we should plan a date, I'll be like, I love you, but you need to be specific. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I need to know like Saturday. Okay, if it's Saturday this day, we can do a date from like, we can do brunch, we can do, you know, or very late, you know, I'm very much, everything's in my calendar. And but I'm also now, especially with hopeful opportunities here and there, kind of leaving some weekends open, you know, for who knows what. Maybe this weekend I just want to play Dungeons and Dragons with friends. Maybe this other weekend I'm going to Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to, you know, be wanted in a lot of places from the normal, but also finding time to give myself off or use it for different opportunities, which is like a first in my illustrious career. But it's all counted. Yeah.
I think downtime's important, you know. You definitely have to take advantage of that now.
Yes.
While you can, because you know, I'll tell you, you know, over the years, you know, personally, I've missed a lot of stuff, you know, like, you know, family get-togethers or things like that. I know there's wrestling this weekend, you know, and you know, I missed out on a lot of things, but now you know, it's different now. I'm at the point where I want to take time back, you know.
Yeah.
And make, like you said, like make your own schedule. And you know, it's good to be wanted by, you know, a bunch of different companies, but you got to you know, sometimes your personal life's more important sometimes too, you know. So that's good. But yeah, I like we share a family calendar, and so the deal is like I'll put all the dates on the family calendar so that when my wife's making plans for us, she knows what dates not to commit to.
Yeah.
And it in theory that works out great, but I always forget to update the calendar.
Monster. Monster.
So I actually went through today and added all the dates in.
Well, look at you being human, Andy.
You have to.
You son of a gun. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you gotta plan stuff out, and like I would take just like going on road trips, like even plan your vacation, vacation days to go on a long road trip or something like that, or it's awesome. Those experiences are awesome.
yeah. Seeing the road, seeing the people.
Oh, and just all the people you meet.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're meeting other like top wrestlers and things like that, but just like the people you meet on the road and like interact with just in general, like you meet so many different people. It's awesome.
Yeah, I went out to like a deep dish place with some of the people from the AAA in Mexico, and one of the luchadors, when we ordered a deep dish pizza, was like, "Is this pizza cake?" He'd never seen anything that wasn't like thin or like crusted. And he's like, "What? Where do we put the candles? Like whose birthday is it?" And it's like, "No,
dude,
this is pizza. Like you eat it like cake with a fork and knife if you really want to, but this is pizza." And he was like, "Oh, like."
So, they get thick, dude. Those pizzas get thick.
Yeah, they do.
Nice. One of my favorite things now is to, after the shows is to go out and have food with everybody.
Yeah.
I've never really done that in the past. And either I didn't have time or you're, stuck breaking down the ring or, set up, tear down, clean up, all that stuff. But now I can, meet everybody out afterwards before they take off to get some food. And that's like, it's a lot of fun. I love those moments. And, just to get to hang out with people in a non-wrestling capacity.
That's true. And all the cool kids hang out at Denny's after JWA.
Hey, we don't need a bunch of people showing up there.
We didn't say which one.
Yeah.
those servers at Janesville, Wisconsin, Denny's. But man, do we party it up at
we can edit that out, right? No.
Keep it. I want everyone to know that after a Janesville show, we will be at Denny's at Janesville, Wisconsin. Let's pack that place up.
Especially when they're understaffed.
Yes, especially when you have the server guy who has like 7 grills in his mouth and is trying his hardest to say cheese. You want a grilled cheese sandwich, and you can't even get the S out.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, this has been fun. We're gonna have to get you on here again. That's for sure.
Oh, dude, this is loads of fun. I'm very happy. I'm a big fan of talking with people. Like Eddie wanted me on his little podcast thing. I was like, absolutely.
We're doing that too. He hit me up about it too. We're gonna do that. That should be awesome.
So I'm always a big fan of helping people out because it goes back to the what I said with like why I wanted to keep going with wrestling and all that stuff. Everybody has their artistic beliefs and what they want to show and bring to the world. And I always say, like, if it's time that you need, if you just want to chat or you need me to help you edit or help you in any way to make a project a reality, I'm a firm believer of making what ifs, not what ifs, realities. So like when I see, you guys having fun on this, Eddie's doing this, or like even just we were doing practice on Tuesdays, and all of a sudden it's like, wouldn't it be funny if, and it's like, how about let's just not make those ifs, let's do that. You know what I mean? Like that's why I love doing this. I love, and overall it like helps everyone, get to know each other better, and it helps everybody out in the long run. So I love stuff like this.
Now, are you the one do you make those at training camp
Yeah.
TikToks or whatever?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I thought you were making those. So I watch those when you post them up. Dude, those are some of the funniest.
Yeah,
Like that one you had with Doom is just
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. That
Yeah.
was so hilarious. That was funny.
It's just I was always like in high school I was a big fan of like that Dude Perfect, or those guys that would just shoot like incredibly long distance balls into hoops.
Yeah.
Those guys did like a really funny thing of like stereotypes. Like they would just pick a sport and be like all the stereotypes of this sport, or like and then I was like, that'd be really funny because it's pretty much the same thing in wrestling schools. So like everyone that I knew, every single person that is like when I put them in quotes, like that guy is definitely a person you've seen, like if you're a wrestler. And
yeah.
because it's been so funny. And then just, I pretty much give every single person, just like what we were talking about before, I just say like, go for this. The rest of it is on you. And it's just been great. Like I try my hardest just to be the guy just in the background, and, like yelling if I have to, helping them, yes, and whatever. But like, it's very much, like Hans is a great actor in it. Doom killed it.
Yep.
Half the people training up now that are really wanting to do this. Like we record Tuesday, I edit it, and I put it up every Wednesday, and we've been going up for a month. It's been a lot of fun doing it, and it's been cool. It's been very fun.